One afternoon, as I worked near the palace gates, a loud rumble filled the air. The sky, clear just moments before, now darkened with thick clouds. A storm was brewing, fierce and sudden. The winds howled, carrying the scent of rain and something else as something foreboding. I looked out into the distance and frowned. Through the swirling dust, I saw a figure approaching. My heart skipped a beat as I recognized the outline of a man in a cloak, his form towering even against the backdrop of the storm. It was Hercules. He moved steadily toward the gates, his face set with grim determination. I rushed to the palace, my heart racing. He has returned, I cried as I burst into the great hall. Hercules is back. The Panther stood from his seat, his expression hardening. What does he seek now? He muttered, his eyes dark and sharp. Nandi stepped forward, her face calm but tense. We will not meet him with hostility, she said firmly. Let us hear what he has to say. With a nod, Shaka-Zulu ordered the gates to be opened. The wind howled through the courtyard as Hercules stepped inside, his cloak whipping around him like a shadow. He stopped before the royal family, his eyes locking onto the Panther. I have returned, he announced, his voice carrying above the storm. Not to challenge, but to seek what I could not find. The crowd gathered, murmuring with fear and curiosity. The Panther narrowed his eyes. And what is it that you seek, Hercules? He asked. Hercules took a deep breath, his gaze shifting to Nandi. I sought to prove myself through strength and speed, through battles and trials, but I see now that what I truly sought was understanding. I did not come to take what is yours, Panther, but to learn from you. The crowd gasped, and I felt a chill run down my spine. Hercules, the mightiest of warriors, was asking not for a fight, but for wisdom. The Panther studied him for a long moment, his eyes unreadable. You seek to learn, the Panther finally said. Then you must listen to the land, not just the warriors within it. True strength comes from knowing when to fight and when to walk away. Hercules bowed his head, his eyes filled with something I had not seen in him before. Humility. Teach me, he said simply. The storm raged around us, but in that courtyard, a different kind of peace settled. The Panther stepped forward, placing a hand on Hercules' shoulder. Very well, he said, but you must understand that the journey ahead is not easy. You must walk the path of wisdom, not just strength. Hercules nodded, a look of determination returning to his face. I will do what it takes, he vowed. From that day on, Hercules remained in the kingdom, not as a rival but as a student. He spent his days with the elders, learning the ways of the land, and with the Panther, understanding the balance between might and heart. I watched him change, his once proud demeanor giving way to something deeper, more thoughtful. Princess Nandi observed this change as well. One evening, she approached the Panther in the garden, where he stood watching Hercules practice a new form of combat, one that required patience and restraint. He has come far, Nandi remarked, her eyes thoughtful. The Panther nodded. Yes, he agreed, but he still has far to go. The path to wisdom is never truly finished. Nandi turned to the Panther, her eyes warm. Neither is ours, she said softly. We must continue to grow, to lead this land with strength and compassion. The Panther smiled, his heart swelling with pride and love for the princess, who was not just a prize, but a true partner in the journey ahead. And so, the tale of Hercules and the African Panther took a turn not toward battle but toward unity. The kingdom of the Zulu prospered under their guardianship, and the people learned that strength was not just in the might of one's arms, but in the wisdom of one's heart. The story spread far and wide, a legend not of rivalry, but of the power of understanding and the courage to seek a new path. The kingdom continued to prosper, with the African Panther and Hercules walking new paths of understanding. But not everyone in the land welcomed this peace. Whispers began to circulate through the villages. Some thought Hercules should have left, his presence an unwanted reminder of past conflicts. Others questioned whether the Panther was still the rightful protector, now that a foreign hero resided in their midst. I heard these whispers as I went about my duties, carrying water and tending to the gardens of the palace. I saw the Panther and Hercules grow closer, their rivalry turning into an unexpected friendship. Together, they trained and learned, each sharing their skills with the other. Yet, a sense of unease still lingered like a dark cloud over the kingdom. It was in the midst of this unease that a new threat emerged. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the plains, a rider arrived at the palace gates. He was weary, covered in dust from a long journey, his eyes wild with fear. Raiders, he gasped, barely able to stand. From the north, they are coming. They burned villages as they marched toward the kingdom. Shaka-Zulu stood on the steps of the palace, his face growing stern. The people around him gasped, fear rippling through the crowd like a sudden wind. The panther stepped forward, his gaze locked on the rider. "How many?" he asked in a calm, steady voice. "Too many to count," the rider replied, his voice trembling. "They are well armed and ruthless." Hercules, who had been watching from the side, stepped forward, his eyes narrowing. "We must meet them before they reach the kingdom," he declared, his fists clenched. "If they come here, it will be too late." The panther nodded, his face expressionless but his eyes sharp. "We will ride out to meet them," he agreed, "but we do not go to fight recklessly. We must use our wits as well as our strength." Shaka-Zulu turned to Hercules and the panther, his expression brave. "You are the guardians of this land," he said. "You have proven yourselves in times of peace. Now, you must show your worth in the face of war."